Well, good evening. I'm going to ask everyone to take a few minutes to find your seats, please, and we will get started shortly. All right, well, good evening and welcome to the Sioux Falls School District's Recognition Banquet. I'm Allison Struck. I'm the Executive Director of the Sioux Falls Public Schools Education Foundation, and I'm thrilled to be here tonight. We get to recognize the district's 25-year nominees, those of you who are retiring. It's Teacher Appreciation Week and Cinco de Mayo, so we have a lot to celebrate tonight. Thank you all for being here. Before we get started, I'm just going to share a little bit of information about the Education Foundation. We were chartered in 2008, and for the first 10 years, we were managed by a volunteer board of directors until I joined the organization in the summer of 2018. We have four main focus areas: our public school proud grants, talent and recognition, the Student Success Fund, and our endowment. We are probably most well known for our public school proud grant program. Any teacher in the district can apply for up to $10,000 to purchase materials that will give students hands-on immersive opportunities. You can see a list of some of the grants that we have funded, but by the end of this school year, so within the next 3 weeks, we will have awarded 54 grants to 88 educators at 32 schools within the district. And I know we have grant winners out here. It'll be about $120,000 that we have invested back in our teachers and students, which is a record for us. And we love going into our buildings to surprise our teachers and their students. This year, we actually, at John Harris, we got to bring one of a former student, and he got to surprise his kindergarten, his first, and his second grade teacher with a grant. So that was especially fun. Here are some examples of grants that we have recently funded. A couple of months ago, we awarded a $5,300 grant to the PE teacher at Terry Redland Elementary. She is purchasing specialized trachs for students with severe to profound disabilities so that they can participate in class with their peers. We have students at Discovery Elementary who are using Smithsonian Science modules when they're doing earth science and life science units. One of the first grants that we announced this year was at Memorial to start a pickleball club. We have teachers at Patrick Henry, Whittier, and Memorial who are using galactic mallet stations. They are percussion instruments where they can simulate all of the sounds. And if you have students who are in band and you saw them wheel out the bells every time they had to go out onto the field and bring them back, these instruments can do it, and they're much lighter, and you can simulate timpani, snare drum, the bells, the cymbal, cowbell, whatever you need. And then we have a teacher who's using robots at Washington High School, and we recently awarded a grant to Penny Brunken out at CTE Academy so she can purchase QuickBooks software for her students in the Academy of Finance program. Our second funding area really focuses on talent and retention. We want to recruit the best teachers to the Sioux Falls School District, and then we want to retain them. And one of the ways we do this is through our first-time teacher grants. All first-time, first-year teachers receive a $200 grant from the foundation to purchase classroom supplies. I know firsthand how much this grant means because my sister is a teacher, not in Sioux Falls, but her first year, for her birthday, she asked if I would buy her dry erase markers, and that was just so sad to me. I was like, Emily, I will buy you dry erase markers, but not for your birthday. So teachers can use it for bulletin boards, classroom sets of books, organization kits, whatever they need. We have a Goodwill tour. We started that this year where we go into our buildings, we drop off treats, and then we share information about our grant programs. The district always has their Teacher of the Year banquet, and the winner gets a $4,000 cash prize. This year we were able to partner with One American Bank and offer the Distinguished Educator Award. So Nick Opdahl from CTE Academy, he received a $2,000 cash prize. Let's see here. I got to look at the PowerPoint here. Oh, how could I forget? It's Teacher Appreciation Week. So we're celebrating educators who have made a difference on our social media page this week. In March, we provided a lunch to all 75 school counselors. After that event, one of the counselors told me it was the first hot meal she had had all school year. She makes her lunch and brings it back to her office. And she may be working with students, or a colleague comes in, or she needs to return a parent phone call, and by the time she sits down, her lunch has gone cold. And then we also provided funding so our social workers could attend the Community Resilience Model training. Our Student Success Fund is a way that we help students and families in crisis connect with basic needs. We provide emergency food assistance, bed bug cream, life shampoo, items like that. We work very closely with our social workers since they're the boots on the ground. We serve all students through this fund. And this year, our board allocated $14,000 to specifically support our Native American students. So the foundation will be sponsoring the honoring ceremony right before graduation, the open house event in August, and then the holiday meal in December. Finally, we have an endowment. This was started by a group of retired teachers and is housed at the Sioux Falls Area Community Foundation. We can draw investment earnings every year off of our endowment, which is about 4%, and we use that to fund our programs. When I started, the balance was about $100,000, and that has since grown to about $650,000, and that's due in large part to estate gifts that we have received. Jean and Connie Melans raised their daughter here in Sioux Falls. She graduated from Washington High School, and when they passed away, they left us a gift of $226,000. And that's really a testament to the teachers that she had in Sioux Falls. Karen Soxvik was a longtime teacher in the Sioux Falls School District, instrumental in helping start the district's reading recovery program. Her family created an endowment in her honor after she passed, and every year they donate the proceeds back to us for our grant program. Sue Scribner recently passed. That's okay. Join us. Sue Scribner recently passed, and she set up an estate plan, and she is leaving proceeds so that we can support programming for reading and language arts at the middle school level. And then Harriet Hybertson, she was a teacher in Sioux Falls. She supported many nonprofits, and we received a $58,000 gift from her estate. And when we received these gifts, our board, we're just incredibly honored that individuals would remember the Sioux Falls Public Schools Education Foundation. It is a revenue stream that provides long-term sustainable funding for us. And lastly, I have two quotes up on the screen, and I believe both of them wholeheartedly. Mrs. Andre was my third grade teacher, and we read the book How to Eat Fried Worms, and then we ate fried worms, and I never knew if we truly did until at her funeral, her kids got up and said that they had to go out and dig for night crawlers. She cut them up, mixed them in with hamburger meat, and we ate them on crackers. And I don't know how you got away doing that without parental consent, but we survived, and we really did eat worms. Mr. Har was my middle school social studies teacher. He was fantastic. I still am interested in current events because of him. Mr. Anderson taught journalism, grammar, English literature in my AP novels class, and I have a binder about this thick that I have carried with me multiple times, and my husband is like, what are you going to do with that? And I said, I'm probably going to be buried with it because the blood, sweat, and tears I put into this binder, it's coming with me. And then Dr. Roach was one of my professors at USD, and I still carry his lessons with me today. I'm a product of public education. My dad retired after 41 years as an elementary school teacher, counselor, and principal. My sister is a teacher. My grandpa served on the school board for a number of years. And so please know that we see you, we recognize you, we appreciate all you have done, especially the last 2 years. I know that it has been challenging. And please know that you are so appreciated. You often feel like you're underpaid. I know that you all have the skills and talents. You could have gone elsewhere. So on behalf of myself and our board, thank you for choosing to teach in the Sioux Falls School District and the state of South Dakota.
Well, that's kind of tough to follow heartfelt tears and worms. I don't know. Those are food allergies that we didn't think about and hopefully don't ever have to for the time being. Well, this is such a special night. And earlier this year, as you know, we were thinking maybe we wouldn't have this. And I'm so glad that somebody asked if we might reconsider that, and we did, because the value of being here together can't be underestimated after the last couple of years of not being able to do many of the things that have been traditions for so many years. So welcome, and I hope that you can all just kind of drink in this beautiful setting and being with friends and really reflecting on the celebration of serving children for so many years. Welcome to our retirees, and welcome to our 25-year recognees, I think you would be called. I thought, if you're going to stop teaching and you're retiring, the least I can do is give you a test on your way out. I thought it was only fitting, after all of the quizzes and tests you've given over the years, that we'll see how well you can do maybe on one final quiz. And you can all participate, but let's just see how much maybe some of you remember from your career in education. So I'm going to put pictures up, and let's just see if you can tell what those items are. And I'll give you a minute to take a look. Somebody think you know what this is? Anybody want to take a guess? Oh, you're thinking. You can share answers at your table. Maybe I'll just call a table if somebody's brave enough. What do you think that is? That's a tough one. Might not be able to use this in another few years. Ideas? Shout it out. Patty. It's the intercom system. Patty Vincent, do you remember using that? All right. Next item. Oh. Anybody? Anybody learn on something? Raise your hand if you learned on this. All right, this is a typewriter. This is what I asked for my high school graduation gift. Wanted to make sure I had a typewriter to take with me to college. All right, here's the next item. Oh, what is that? Raise your hand if you remember using one. All right, and it is a lunch ticket and hole punch. Now, I have to tell you that when I started teaching, I was a volunteer. I was cutting edge technology in my building because I volunteered to no longer take lunch count by punching tickets and running the slip down to the office. I piloted this new method called email. Yes, I emailed the lunch count to the office. Very efficient system that we started there. All right, next. What is this object? Oh, yes. And just when you went to use it, what happened? The bulb burned out because this is an overhead projector. Now, let's have true confessions. You also had to have the plastic overhead overlay, or you wrote with your little marker on the glass if you were in a pinch. How many of you put one of those suckers through the copy machine and melted it? Hands high. Who melted it? Plastic in the copy machine. Somebody was always doing that. Took days for the copy repairman to come. All right, next. Oh, what is that? Raise your hand if you had one of those in your classroom, or if you had to check it out of the equipment room. Anybody remember having to check that out? Yep, listening center, cutting edge technology with the tape recorder. All right. There we go. Now, when I was in college, I had to pass the AV proficiency test. This was one of the easier ones, but what was this? Anybody remember? Film strip projector. And can you just remember coming in from recess and you'd see that thing set up and it was like, yes, we get a film strip. It was like having a Netflix movie in your classroom. It was awesome. All right, a couple more. That might stump a few of you. What is it? Opaque projector. Now, that was for those of you who might be just a little bit past the opaque projector years. That was those of us who had to make our bulletin board items, and we would project what we were going to make on our tag board, color it, cut it out, laminate it, and then, if you were really careful, you shut the laminator off. Anybody have a laminator night where you weren't sure you cut it off or turned it off? Yeah, when I was a principal, more than once, I had to drive back into my school just to make sure the laminator got turned off. So, all right. Let's see what this is. Oh, it's made a resurgence in recent years. This is a record player. Use that in the classroom if we wanted to teach a foreign language, maybe if we were teaching the alphabet. Could be any number of possible uses. Square dancing. All right. All right, so who remembers going in at night to sign up for this thing so that you could get it just when you needed it for your social studies video? Because it sometimes had to be kind of a covert op if you were going to get that TV at the right time. If you didn't get in there, it wasn't going to be available. The old TV VCR cart. Then many of us had cutting-edge technology when we mounted those big honkin' TVs up in the corner of the wall. That seems like a really good idea now, doesn't it? Gigantic TVs hanging from the wall around small children? Sure it does. All right, last couple of ones. What is this? Oh, doing a research project, making yourself car sick, sitting for hours scrolling on the microfilm and microfiche. Yeah, might be more in your college years. I think we're just about to the end. Oh, raise a hand if you used one of these in your classroom. And who thinks they could still thread one today? Still make it work? That was the trick, wasn't it, for the reel-to-reel projector. Again, if you came into your classroom and you saw that set up, film. It was awesome. You just had to have them pre-threaded for your sub because you weren't sure if they would be able to do it. Oh, there we go. There's some memories. Raise a hand if you had to crank the handle. Yep. And then you had the fumes. And then you kept your Ditto Masters in your drawer. This is the Ditto machine, the precursor to the copy machine. Still just as hazardous. So, now some things have changed. And when you think back over the course of that teaching career, you've seen a lot of things. Whether it's 25 years or even more, some things have evolved. Those machines, we probably wouldn't see many of them anymore. Some of the things that we see with students, some things are very much the same and some things have really changed. Here's something that might be a little different. Oh, sorry, I forgot I had another. Give you just a minute with that. Yep. There's another one. Now, I want you to notice this just really carefully. When we think about how things have changed, this is labeled as a family craft, I believe. And let's just see what that family craft is now. There we go. Fun for the family. Oh, yeah. Some of the things that we've seen even with how perceptions are about what we do in our world of education maybe have changed a little bit. But this is really what has not changed. In all of those years, we have still had and will continue to have children in our classrooms. And the importance of what you do in those classrooms, and kids being in a room with a caring adult, and people who can guide their learning, people who care about them when they're having a good day and when they're having a bad day, and who value education, because we know the effect that it has on the trajectory of every life that has crossed your path. And tonight is a celebration of that. Tonight is a celebration of the exponential effect that educators have on the entire world. If you think about how many students you had in a given year, and you multiply that times the number of years that you've served, and you multiply that times just the number of educators in this room, and you think about the impact that that has in our community and our world, it's pretty mind-boggling. So tonight is all about you and recognizing the service that you've provided and the way that you have truly impacted the lives of children. So thank you for all that you've done, and we look forward to recognizing you tonight. With that, I want to recognize our school board members who are here to celebrate with you. We have Carly Ryder and Mark Mirren and Cynthia Mickelson, our president. And at this time, I'm going to welcome Cynthia to the podium.
Well, I'm going to keep it short and sweet because I am Italian and we have an Italian buffet, so I do not want to stand in the way of that tonight. But I just want to be here and on behalf of the board and myself, thank you all for all of your service to the Sioux Falls community, to our students, to our families. Without you, we couldn't do this job. You are very, very appreciated by your board. We know from when you started till today, all the changes we've gone through a district, we wouldn't be able to adapt to those without your support, without your hard work, and without your commitment to the Sioux Falls School District. So we really do appreciate you. We thank you, and good luck with what you do, and we always need substitutes, so come on back if you can. So thank you very much, and have a good night.
Well, I hope you have all enjoyed your wonderful dinner tonight. Thank you to the people here at the Country Club for providing such a wonderful meal. Let's give them a round of applause. Hopefully they can hear us. Great job. And before we get started with our recognition part of our evening, I want to just take a minute to recognize, although I think she just maybe walked out. Pause. We'll wait until Becky comes back in. There's one of them right there, but I want to make sure your fearless leader is back in the room here, so we'll do that in just a minute. We have a lot of people that have contributed to the evening tonight, so we'll recognize them in just a minute. Tonight we're going to start with our 25-year recognitions, and I'm going to be reading your names, and we're going to ask you to come up to the front and receive a little token of our appreciation. And I'm going to ask you to hold your applause until we're all at the end, and then we will thank them together, and then we will move to our retirees for their moment in the sun. There she is. So I'm going to ask, I hate it when somebody says that when you walk in the room. I'm going to ask Becky Dorman, who leads our Human Resources group, to stand, and her whole staff. They put the evening together tonight. So would you all please stand and be recognized? Thank you all for all of your work getting this together. We appreciate that. Okay, and with that, I'll ask Dr. Nold and Dr. Boyson, our two assistant superintendents, and my team members to come up. They're going to help us with the presentation. So I'm going to read your name and do the very best I can. We'll see how I do with your pronunciations, but you'll know who you are. And just come on up, and I'm going to call you. I'm not going to wait for somebody to come up and then sit down again, so kind of be ready to come on up, and we'll keep things moving that way. Feel free to get up and grab some coffee if that sounds good, or if you're still waiting to grab a plate of that dessert if it's still back there. All right. Nasir Abushark. What? That is Amira's dad. Let's give him a hand just for being Amira's dad. Amira is running our slides over here, so nope, you can bypass the steps and head right around to Dr. Nold and Dr. Boyson. Carrie Bolshe. Hold your applause, and we'll do that at the end. Barb Christofferson. And do watch the screens as people are coming up. That way you can know right where they are and what they do for our district. Danielle Cleveland. Shonda Fawcett. You can hoot and holler, just don't clap. Kimberly Horn. There you go. Jim Jones. Robin Cromendike. Emily LaFrenz. Tracy Larson. Maria Leach. Janelle Mills. Steve Onches.
Congratulations.
Jill Peichel. Susan Shriver. Kirsten Smith. Lori Starrett. Yes, ma'am. Jill Seiler. Got to go back and make sure I didn't miss anything else. All right. Kirsten Smith.
Oh, Jill, congratulations.
All right. Lori Starrett. Janet Swearer. Amy Tushin. Patty Ward McGuire, better known as Bon Jovi superfan.
You didn't get the guitar.
And Charnel Woolidge. If there is anybody else that we missed for your 25 years, come on up and make sure that we recognize you. All right, let's give them all a big round of applause. 25 years is an amazing run, and when we see some of the culture changing around longevity and jobs, that's an amazing number of years, but such a great example for people in how you stay the course and deepen your skills and really create a lasting legacy doing this great work. So thank you for the example that you set for everyone. Now, moving on to our retirees. Kind of hard to believe maybe that you're even on this list. I think we have our careers and we think we'll never have that day that comes when you retire, and all of a sudden here it is. Now, I've always given some advice to retirees, and one is have a plan for those first few weeks. In education, we spend our days with everybody needing something all day long. Might be students, might be adults, might be parents. We also spend our days very scheduled, from 9:10 to 9:15. From 9:15 to 9:27, from 9:27 to 9:40, run to the restroom, from 9:41 and a half to, and And we have these scheduled days, and so when we all of a sudden have a day and we're not completely scheduled, it can be really jarring. I often think we do more to onboard people into our profession than we do to help people as they leave our profession. So have a plan, get a book club, and know what you're going to do those first few weeks. All right. Something with a book club. Okay, good. All right, retirees, please come up and watch the screens so that you can see where folks are. Sarah Iltz. Leanne Baldwin. Stephen Becker. David Behrens. Kathy Benz. Susan Bjordal. Ross Blank Libra. Julianne Brandt. Laquita Buckenberg. Jim Kalmus. Bev Chase. Betsy Cronin. Steve Fisher. Gail Flaw. John Fowler. Chris Haynes. Carol Hanger.
Thank you very much.
Jane Hanneman.
It must be a long one, I know. Congratulations.
Tina Hawkins. Terry Helgett. Terry Jastrom. Bert Kaiser. We all agreed that we hope Bert hasn't been secretly keeping tallies of how many times we go to the bathroom at IPC. Amy Knudsen. Faye Kepke. Larry Larson. Levon McKinney. Pat Nelson. Cheryl Newberger. Gary Peterson. Dave Ramus. Followed by Julie Ramus. We'll let you walk up together. Seems like the right thing to do. Good timing. Tracy Rovang. Joe Sanis. Lisa Schoenfelder Fisher. Shar Schutte. Jill Seiler. Cynthia Underberg. Deb Van Hove. Patty Vincent. Anita Wheelhouse. Kelly Willett. And Rhonda Youngquist. Congratulations to everyone. Is there anybody that I missed? We're good. We were talking earlier, when you think about retirements and you think about the collective knowledge and wisdom that's going to leave us at the end of this year, there's so much experience, so much skill, so much talent, and so much care. And so it's also up to all of us to be cultivating that next generation of people who will fill our spots someday, because the work of education is vital. It's vital to our students, it's vital to our community, and it's vital to our country and our world. So it's with deepest gratitude that we thank you for your service tonight. And I hope that as you go through the last few weeks of school, that you can just soak it all in, the good and the bad, the sweaty next week, and just really enjoy reflecting on all of the things that have been part of your career. And we wish you the very, very best in retirement. Thank you to everybody for coming tonight, and special guests, thank you for joining us. We hope that you have a wonderful rest of your evening, and we will look forward to celebrating again next year. Have a great night.